Hello friends. So in this video we will see what is a closure of an attribute in DBMS. So before going to this topic, first let us see why we need to compute this closure. This is a very fundamental question. Why we need to compute this closure of an attribute? So whenever you want to recognize any table that is present in either second normal form or third normal form, first you have to compute the candidate key. You have to compute how many number of candidate keys that are present in the table. So if you want to calculate or compute these candidate keys, first you have to calculate the closure of an attribute. So without calculating this candidate key, you cannot recognize whether that table is present in the second normal form or third normal form. So first of all, the important point is you have to calculate the closure of a given attribute or set of attributes. Okay. So first we will see, so what do you mean by this closure of an attribute? So let us see the definition of this closure. The closure is nothing but the set of all those attributes, which can be functionally determined from an attribute set. The set of all those attributes which can be functionally determined from an attribute set is called as a closure of that attribute set. A closure of that attribute set. Okay. This is the definition. The set of all those attributes which can be functionally determined from an attribute set is called as a closure of that attribute set. So assume there is an attribute set X. We can denote this. The closure of an attribute set can be capital X in power of plus. X power plus is nothing but the closure of an attribute X. Here the X can be a single attribute. So we can say X can be single attribute, or we can say X can be the set of attributes. We can say X can be set of attributes. Okay. The closure of an attribute or a set of attributes X can be denoted as X plus. Okay. And the next question, how you can find the closure of an attribute set? The second question here, how to find the closure of an attribute set. So this is the second question we have. The first question, what is a closure of an attribute set? The second question, how to find the closure of an attribute or attribute set. So there are mainly two steps to compute the closure of an attribute or attribute set. The first step, step 1, first we have to add the attribute contained in the attribute set, for which closure is being calculated to the result set. So this is the first step. We have to add the attribute contained in the attribute set for which the closure is being calculated to the result set. Okay, this is result set. The step 2, we have to do a recursive process to add all the attributes to the result set, which can be functionally determined from the attributes that are already contained in the result set. Okay, so the second step here, so recursively add the attributes to the result set, which can be functionally determined from the attributes that are already contained in the result set. So these are the two steps we have. First, we have to add the attribute contained in the attribute set for which the closure is being calculated to the result set. Okay. The second step, we have to recursively add the attributes to the result set, which can be functionally determined from the attributes that are already contained in the result set. So those steps can be give a small confusion now. So once we have a clear idea with examples, then I will come back to these steps so we can practically understand how you can find the closure of an attribute or attribute set. So here I will give you various examples so that this concept can be clear. So let us start with a simple table. Assume there is a relation. The relation name is student. So this student relation contains the attributes roll number, name, marks, and location. So these are the 4 attributes which the student relation contains. In addition to this, we have some functional dependencies. The first functional dependency we have, roll number implies name and marks. And another functional dependency we have, name implies marks and location. So this is a simple example. A student relation is having roll number, name, marks, location attributes, and there are also given 2 functional dependencies. Roll number implies name, marks. Name implies marks, location. The meaning of this functional dependency is roll number can determine name and marks. Name can determine marks and location. Now the question is, so what is the closure of a particular attribute roll number? If I ask you a question, what is the closure of this attribute? So as I told you, the closure can be calculated for a single attribute or a set of attributes. So in this case, I have only one attribute. The closure of this roll number can be denoted as roll number plus. The meaning of this is the closure of an attribute roll number is denoted as roll number plus. Now you have to calculate the closure of this roll number. Now how you can calculate? So we have a 2-step procedure which I mentioned before. As per this, let us directly compute. We have a result set. So let us take the result set. So this result set is initially empty. We will add one attribute one by one into this result set. Now the point is I have to calculate roll number, the closure of this attribute. Okay. So here the first attribute is roll number. So any attribute can be determined itself. We can have a functional dependency something like this. Roll number can determine roll number. So this attribute can be added to the result set. So here I am adding this roll number to the result set. So once this is over, now you have to check the attribute in the result set one by one, and you have to go to each and every functional dependency. Now what is the first attribute in this result set? That is roll number. Now in this functional dependency, check any roll number is present on the left side. Now here there is a functional dependency roll number can determine name and marks. So we can mark this functional dependency that it has already visited now. So this roll number can determine name and marks. So I am including these name and marks into the result set. So and I already visited this functional dependency. So now in the result set also I visited this roll number attribute. Next attribute here I have name. So check any functional dependency is there in the given functional dependency list. Now here I have name implies marks and location. The meaning of this is name can determine marks and location. So these two attributes on the right side of this functional dependency can be added to the result set. So already there is a marks in the result set. There is no need to add again this marks attribute into the result set. So only if I have attribute one time in the result set, that is sufficient. So now I have mark location attribute, so I can add this location into the result set. Now here let us check here, name is already visited. Now take the marks attribute. So let us see any functional dependency is there in this given functional dependency set. So there is no such kind of functional dependency from which from marks I can determine any other attribute. And similarly there is no other functional dependency here in the given set of functional dependency. So I can conclude that the roll number closure is roll number, name, marks and location. So this is the result set of this one. Okay. Now I want to calculate the closure of name. I want to calculate the closure of name. The closure of name can be determined as name plus. Okay. Now here itself I am writing the result set now. As I mentioned, so with any attribute can be determined itself. It meaning is name can determine name. So this can be added to the result set. So the first attribute is name itself can determine name. Now check this name attribute in the result set, and now any attribute that can be determined from name. Here I have functional dependency. Now from this name I can determine marks and location. Okay. So I will include this marks and location into the result set, so that I will mark this functional dependency as visited now. Now let us check the second attribute in the result set. Is there any marks in the given functional dependencies? No. On the left side you can check it. And is there any location on the left side of any functional dependency? No. So we can conclude that the result set of this name can be name, marks and location. Okay. Now let us take another attribute. I have to calculate the closure of marks. From this functional dependency we can say marks can be determined marks, right? So I will include this attribute in the result set marks. Now let us check this marks here. Any functional dependency is there and check on the left side. So there is no functional dependency from which we can derive any other attribute from marks. So we can conclude that the closure of this marks can be only a single attribute marks. And let us finally will take one more attribute, compute the closure of a location, the location attribute. Similarly, now any attribute can determine itself. The result set contains location here, location. Now check the one attribute in the result set. So is there any location attribute in the functional dependency from which we can derive? So there is no such kind of functional dependency. So simply we can conclude that the closure of this location is a single attribute location. Okay, this is the way to calculate the closure of a given attribute. Okay, let us take example number 2. So I am taking example number 2. Assume there is a relation R with attributes A, B, C. There are functional dependencies. Functional dependencies are given here. The first functional dependency is A implies B. The second functional dependency we have B implies C. Now I have to calculate the closure of attribute A. Please understand, now I am not writing any result set here. Directly I am computing the closure here. Here I want to calculate the closure of A here. So now the first attribute here is A can determine itself A. So I will add into the result set A here. Now take the first attribute in this result set and check any functional dependency is there. Yes, we have A implies B. Now from A I can determine B. So add into the result set to here. B can be added. So I will mark that as a visited for this closure set alone. Then take the second attribute in this result set. So B, so any functional dependency is there here. I have B implies C. It means that B can determine C. Now I will include C into the result set. So now C, take the C here. Any functional dependency is there. There is no such kind of functional dependency from which we can derive here. So we can conclude that the closure of A plus can be A, B, C. Fine. Now let us calculate the closure of another attribute B. The closure can be denoted as B plus. Here again I am taking any attribute can determine itself. So that's why B, I am adding here B into the result set. Now check this B here and come one by one in the functional dependency. So here we have B implies C. From B I can derive C here. That's why add C into the result set. Fine. Now take the C value. Is there any C implies something? No, there is no such kind of functional dependency. That's why I can conclude that the closure of B plus is B and C. Then let us compute the closure of C. Can be denoted as C plus. So any attribute can be determined from itself. So I can say C implies C. That's why I am adding C here. Now check the functional dependencies here by taking C. Any functional dependency is there in the form of C implies? No, there is no such kind of functional dependency. That's why I can conclude that the closure of C is only a single attribute C. Clear? So let us move on to another example. Please try to understand all these examples, because if you practice many examples, so that you can have a clear idea on the closure of attribute set. Now I have another attribute set for a particular relation. R contains A, B, C, D and E. Now there are functional dependencies FDs. There are functional dependencies something like A implies BC, C implies, this is C here, C implies B, D implies E, E implies D. So these are the functional dependencies given. Let us calculate the closures of A. That can be denoted as A plus. So any attribute can be determined from itself. So A will be added. Now take this attribute A, check in the functional dependencies. Here the first functional dependency A implies BC. So from A we can derive B and C. The attributes B and C can be added to the result set. Now let us take the second attribute in the result set, B. Is there any functional dependency is in the form of B implies? No. Then take the other attribute C. C implies B. There is a functional dependency. From C I can derive B. But already B is in this result set. So again no need to add into the result set. Okay. Now we have C is also completed. There is no other attribute in the result set, so that we can say the closure of this attribute A can be A, B, C. Fine. Then let us compute the closure of B. So here I marked this. This is for the computation of closure every time. So you have to start from the beginning again. So this is the closure of B. Now let us take the closure of B. So any attribute can be determined from itself. So B can be included here. Now is there any functional dependency in the form of B implies? Check on the left side. So from B you cannot determine any other attribute. So I can say only the B attribute alone is the closure of B. Now let us calculate the closure of C. That is C plus. Now any attribute can determine itself. So C. Now take this attribute, check on the left side of these functional dependencies. Here I have C implies B. From C I can get B here. So add B into the result set. Now let us take this B attribute. Any B is on the left side of these functional dependencies? No, we do not have. So that the closure of this C is C and B. And let us compute the closure of D. The closure of D is any attribute can derive itself. So D is the first one. Then check any functional dependency. On the left side I have D implies E. From D I can derive E here. So E can be added. Now again we have E here. Here I have the functional dependency E implies D. Here from E I can derive D. But already D is in the result set. So again no need to add into the result set. And this can be completed. Clear? The closure of this D is D and E. And finally let us calculate the closure of E. Any attribute can determine itself again. So we will add E to the result set. Then any functional dependency, here E is on the left side. Yes, we have. From E I can derive D. So D will be added to the result set. Again here also I have D implies E. Already E is in the result set and there is no need to add again the E attribute into the result set. So this is the way to calculate the closure of a single attribute. As I mentioned in the previous example, if I have X, the closure of this attribute can be denoted as X plus. So here all these X which I have taken, now all are single attributes. Now let us calculate X can be a set of attributes. Let us erase all these things. Let us take one more example here. I am taking AD plus. What do you mean by this? I have to calculate the closure of AD. Now we have two attributes. We have to compute the closure for the set of attributes. But the process is same. When I have AD, any attribute can be determined itself. So I will add A and D into the result set. A and D can be added to the result set. Now take the first attribute in the result set and check in the functional dependencies one by one. Here I have A implies B. From A I can derive B and C. So we will add B and C into the result set. But actually how I can add this? So there is an implication called splitting property. If I have A implies B, then I can say this as A implies B and A implies C. What do you mean by this? From A I can determine B. From A I can determine C. So in this way I am adding B and C into the result set. Okay. Now let us take the second attribute here, D. Any functional dependency is there? Yes, we have D implies E. So from D I can determine E. That can be added into the result set here. Now again take this attribute B here in the result set. Any attribute that is on the left side of this functional dependency B? No. Then take the C attribute. Any attribute is there? Yes, we have. C implies B. From C I can derive B, but already B is in the result set. So no need to add B again to the result set. Let us take attribute here C, that is completed. Now take E here. From E I can determine D. So already D is in the result set. Again no need to add into the result set. So the result set of AD can be A, D, B, C, E. And let us take the calculation of the closure for AE. AE. So any attribute can be determined itself. So A and E can be added to the result set. Fine. Let us take the first attribute here. Any functional dependency is there and A is on the left side here. Yes, we have A implies BC. So we will add B and C to the result set. A is completed in the result set. Let's come to E here. Now E implies D. Is there any D in the result set? No. So that's why I am including D also into the result set. Fine. Let us take the next attribute in the result set B. Any attribute is there for any functional dependency on the left side B? No. There is no such attribute on the left side for any functional dependency here. Let us take C. C implies B. There is a functional dependency, but B is already included in the result set. No need to add again. And let us take the last attribute D. D implies E. So already E is in the result set. Again no need to add into the result set. So the closure of AE can be A, E, B, C, D. But actually there is no need of presenting all these attributes in a particular order. So anyway, A, E, B, C, D, that can be equal to A, B, C, D, E. So both are same. Yes. Now from this you can see how to calculate the closure of a given attribute. The step 1, what I am doing here, add the attribute contained in the attribute set. For example, what I am doing, if I want to calculate the closure of AE, so I am doing add the attribute contained in the attribute set. So I am adding by default A and E. I am adding these attributes. Okay, so those two attributes from this AE that can be added to the result set. That is the point I mentioned. Add the attribute contained in the attribute set for which the closure is being calculated to the result set. Now recursively add the attributes to the result set which can be functionally determined from the attributes that are already contained in the result set. Now I am taking the first attribute. Is there any implication or functional dependency given? So if any form A implies BC, something like this in the given functional dependency, then B and C can be added to the result set. So B and C can be added to the result set. Now I am doing this process recursively one by one. So A is completed. Now take this attribute. Check any functional dependency is there in this form. So E implies FE. If any functional dependency is there, then I will add these attributes to the result set. Okay. So if already FE, so F is not there in the result set, so I will add. E already is there in the result set, so no need to add that attribute. Okay. So this is the main idea behind to calculate the closure of a particular attribute or attribute set. Clear? And let us finally take one simple example so that we can close this topic. Example 4 I am taking. I have a relation R. Assume there are attributes P, Q, R, S, T, U and V. The functional dependencies are given. The functional dependency P implies Q, QR implies ST and PTV implies V. Now the question is calculate the closure of QR. calculate the closure of this QR, calculate the closure of PR. Okay, let us calculate the closure of QR first. So here we can add Q and R. Any attribute can determine itself. Take the first attribute Q. Any functional dependency is there with let us take, it may be either Q or it may be either QR. So you can take any of this form. Here I have QR implies ST. So these two attributes already in the result set, right? QR at both attributes can determine S and T. Okay, so we will add S and T to the result set. Now let us take the R attribute. Any R attribute is there in the given functional dependencies? No, there is no R on the left side of these functional dependencies. Then yes, any functional dependency is there on the left side, S attribute? No. And T is also not there. So we can say the closure of this QR can be QRST. Fine. So here one can remember there is a T attribute in the left side, but this is not only T. If I have the attributes P, T, V in the result set, then only I can come to V. I can derive V here. But only with T, I cannot say or I cannot add this V into the result set. So this point is very important here. Let us compute calculation of the closure for PR attribute. Add P comma R. So itself, let us take the first attribute. P implies Q is there. So we will add a Q into the result set. Now here Q and R is there in the result set. So we can add S comma T to the result set. Fine. Then let us take R is completed. Q is also completed. Then S, any S is there on the given functional dependencies on the left side? No. And T. Then any P, T, V. You can also check this. P and T and V. If these three attributes are in the result set, then only we can say V can also be included. But there is no P is there, T is there, but there is no V in the result set. So we cannot add V here. Getting the point? Here I have P and T. If I have V, then we can say P, T, V attributes are in the result set. So the implication P, T, V implies V can be possible. So we can add V into the result set. But there is no V in the result set, right? That's why I am not adding V into the result set. Hope this concept is clear for you, how to calculate the closure of this attribute. So if I have a closure for any particular attribute or set of attributes, then the calculation of candidate keys and super keys is very simple. So that we will see in the next video. Thank you for watching.